And it's a good evening to Paul Dalligan. Paul, State of Origin's in the air.
Well, I just realised I'm in the wrong colour for that. I know I'm working a lot in Brisbane these days, but they haven't indoctrinated me yet, Professor, and they never will, of course. But looking forward to the big match next week in the Origin Arena.
All right. Well, we've had plenty of viewers over the last 2 weeks, Paul. So what we want people to do is like the video. Very important that they like the video, then they'll see more of us. And also subscribe to the channel, because not only do they get your pearls of wisdom on the NRL, they can also listen to the gelding muck up his tips on a Saturday morning.
Is that what you call a quinella, Professor?
It's a great quinella, Paul.
It is. Yeah,
All right, let's get into it. As I said, State of Origin in the air. The women's game 2 in the State of Origin was Allianz, played in the rain, Paul. By crikey, there were puddles all over the ground. 26-6, New South Wales just wiped Brisbane off the board.
I was waiting for the pre-match entertainment to be Noah with his ark. I tell you what, all the money they spend on that stadium, they can't get the drainage right. So, I mean, the ancient Romans could get it right, but for some reason, the construction in Sydney, they couldn't get it right. So anyway.
Well, it was a game till half-time, Paul, 12-6, and Tamika Upton scored the first for the Maroons, but that was the only time they were in front all night. Olivia Koenig, the Roosters' second rower, scored a double. She's a battering ram.
Oh, she is. I wouldn't want to stop her in the wet, the dry, any conditions. But I'm hoping that the men's Origin, I might regret these words, but is a bit closer than the ladies. But well done to New South Wales. They were very, very impressive in the Origin arena.
Now, Paul, I've got a question for you. This is one of the famous Sportsfan radio questions without notice. The women's game is 70 minutes, 35 minutes a half. What difference does 5 minutes make?
I wouldn't go there. That's like arguing about the 3 sets in the tennis. I think I'm not here tonight to answer questions about that. I think I'll do a Daniel Andrews on that one. Thank you.
Well,
they play very hard, and I think they can play as long as they like, the ladies. It's a great standard, and they're pretty fit and pretty tough.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Paul. I can understand why it might have been 5 minutes less each half early on in the competition years ago. But now, with all the training that these girls have had, women have had, surely it's 80-minute game, isn't it?
I think the line's cutting out there, Professor. I can't get into that. I'm pretty happy with the format the way it is, but we might keep that on ice for the moment. I think the extra time you're after.
All right, Paul. Well, the Blues...
Quality over quantity, I'd say, Professor. It's story of my life, I think. So, yeah.
The Blues lead 2-0. The third game's next Thursday night at Newcastle. We won't look at it now, but that series is all over.
It is, but it still means a lot in Origin. I have to explain this to Melbourne people all the time. It's not a dead rubber because it means a lot. And now, if you look at the men's game, you look at any of those dead rubbers, as they call them here, they certainly were anything but in terms of the intensity, because no one wants to lose a series 3-0.
All right, Paul, the men's. Suncorp, next week, just over a week away. We won't talk about the game, but I just want to talk to you about a few selections. The Maroons, let's look at the Maroons first. Kalen Ponga at fullback. Does that surprise you?
Oh, not at all. He can win a game by himself. His club form isn't ideal, but he can win the match of his own accord, as he's done very recently. So there's no dramas there with him at all.
Now, Battle of the Halves, Paul.
It will be. You got Cleary against a guy who doesn't seem to be in great form at the moment. Cherry Evans got back to a bit of form last week, but there's a lot else on his plate, Cherry Evans. Let's wonder and see if he can put everything to one side.
So, are there any surprises in either team as far as you're concerned?
Oh, the big talk is about Max King for the Blues. A lot of people talking about Terrell May was in better form, but it comes down to character, I think. I don't want to make comments about Terrell May's character, but it may be that they just feel that Max King of your Dogs is a better fit for the Origin arena. We'll see. I'm happy to be proven wrong about that. I think he's a good pick. Your Dogs are firing, and he's a great player. He's earned his spot. Kalamutangi from the Rabbitohs, unlucky as well, playing very well, but you can't have them all. And Daly, you've got to keep in mind, is very conservative. So I think he's gone with form players. There's no one could say Max King's not in form.
Well, you spoke about Max King. It's a bit of a dad's army. Kurt Mann at 32, also in the Queensland squad.
Well, he's played at more clubs than the Deltones as well, as Kurt Mann. So he's been around, so more clubs than Greg Norman, I think, as we often say on the show. But he'll be experienced, we'll put it that way, and that's never stopped Queensland before, experience over young superstars.
Now, on the Blues side, Paul, there's some injury queries over Payne Haas and Stephen Crichton. The Blues, given the ferocity of Origin that we've seen, you and I have been at the ground and seen how hard these blokes hit, they wouldn't want to be taking any injury concerns into a match, would they?
No, they'd want to be careful. And I saw that Pat Carrigan at the Broncos had 30 stitches put in his mouth because the doctor wanted to make sure in case he cops a whack there in Origin that he'll be right. So that shows you how tough it is on both sides. I think that there'd be very, very stringent tests on both Crichton and Haas. They wouldn't be playing if they weren't completely up to scratch.
Now, Isaiah Yeo is captain for this game for the Blues. Jake Trbojevic, last year's captain, out with concussion. Is that a big loss for them?
Oh, you don't lose much with Yeo. He's a phenomenal captain and leader, and I think he'll do a good job. He's done it before, and you won't lose anything there. As much as I love what Trbojevic did, he didn't play much last year in the series, but we won the series. But Yeo will certainly be playing almost every minute, and nothing much lost there.
All right, Paul, let's look at the results from round 11. The Eels, a big surprise, playing in Newcastle, knocked over the Knights 28-6. Maybe not the result certainly not the result the Knights wanted, but the extent of the loss. Surely the Knights coach is on borrowed time.
Well, he's got to be on the hot seat, and I tipped the Knights. I think my round ended better than it started, but I will blow my own trumpet for once. Rarely do this, but I'm winning my work tipping comp. I don't know what that says about my work tipsters, but in a season of unpredictabilities, I seem to have got enough right to be on top there, which shocks me as much as anyone. I think the Knights coach will be lucky to survive the year. When you've got $3 million in talent between Ponga and Dylan Brown on the way, you can't have a coach who's not firing, and he appears to have lost the team. So you can't have that. He won't survive the year, O'Brien at the Knights.
Paul, for the second week in a row, the Bulldogs were scoreless at half-time. And for the second week in a row, they held their opposition scoreless while piling on enough points to win the game.
We'd have to find a horse, equine equivalent from gelding as to a horse that can only win coming from back. I don't know, was that Viander Cross, was it, or something? But we need to find an equivalent because the dogs seem to enjoy giving up a start and then chasing it down. And my word, they chase it down. Their second halves are some of the best I've ever seen from any team, ever.
The Warriors knocked over the Dolphins on the Dolphins' home turf. I said last week that the Warriors have been in good form and they continued on their merry way.
Well, they did. I did tip them. It was a roll of the dice game, that one. And the Warriors came up with the win. They're playing well and they're at home this week. And I hear it's a sellout crowd. So that'll be one to watch this weekend. And not too many Origin players out, of course, for the Warriors.
I got a text from Schooner soon after the Cowboys-Sea-Eagles match finished saying that both you and I were terrible tipsters.
Yes, well, he got one right. Even a broken clock can get it right twice a day, as they say. And he struck midnight last week. But it's good for Manly. I hate to see what the Cherry Evans situation's done because the rest of the team don't deserve it. And he's got to make up his mind and tell people where he's going. I've said that before, but he played well last week, and all credit to the Manly. And I think we might have resurrected the Cowboys a bit soon.
They've been in and out for the whole season, Paul. You can't really trust them, can you?
No, well, that's it. It's the Cowboys have been, up and down like their equine equivalent, I think. So they're not too good at all. But I am proud of the next tip with the Sharks. I did tip them to beat the Storm, even though the Storm were in white-hot form, Professor, not even red-hot, white-hot form. That is one of the best Sharks wins in about 5 years. They lost several players during the game, and somehow they repelled the Storm. So that stadium near where I grew up was rocking at full time.
And Shark Park takes another casualty.
Well, it does, and it's a small little ground, but they're passionate people. And I have tipped the Sharks to make the grand final, and I'll stick with that prediction, Professor.
Now, I'm sure that Craig Bellamy won't have any hair left by the end of this season. The number of unnecessary penalties that the Storm gave away. You said last week, Paul, that their games become unstorm-like. It was again.
It has been, and he'd be just pulling his hair out, as you say, as to exactly what's gone wrong, because it's just not the Storm we know. And that's why I'm surprised they're such runaway favourites to win the comp. We've got a great spine, but we're yet to have an Origin period, which might test them. And we'll see what happens. But I don't think that they're runaway favourites by any means.
The Dragons went to Brisbane, Paul, and pulled off the impossible. The Broncos, they must be in trouble. They've had some really ordinary results over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The Dragons 30, the Broncos 26.
They want to get everything in order and very soon, because they don't stand for mediocrity there at the Broncos. It's the biggest club in the game, probably much like Collingwood for the AFL. So he'd want to get that house in order soon, or they're going to lose track rapidly with the top 8.
Paul, I must admit that the former Broncos coach I saw on one of the NRL shows Kevin Walters having a bit of a chuckle to himself when they were talking about this match. He'd be happy to be out of that seat.
Well, he would be, and it's a bit nasty on his part, I think, if he's enjoying the fall of his replacement. But I think he should just stick to his commentary and perhaps work on those skills rather than taking too much glee from someone trying incredibly hard there at the Broncos. I think that might be some problems that the coach can't solve there. It's attitude issues.
Bruce Stadium proved too much for the Titans, Paul. It was cold. Raiders 40, Titans 24. The Raiders bounced back after a loss to the Bulldogs last week.
Raiders are playing very good football. No one would begrudge Ricky Stewart winning a premiership. They're into 6 favourites for the comp. I see, Professor. So you can almost lock them in for the A's, the way they're playing. They're great to watch. Very, very talented team with some young stars there, which we always like to see.
And the final game, Paul, the West Tigers went down to your team, the Rabbitohs, 22-12. You'd be very happy with that result?
I did enjoy that. Campbell Graham back to his best. He was phenomenal for the Rabbitohs, but it was a good win. I really enjoyed watching that, and the old enemy. So Latrell Mitchell, again, a great game. Just a superstar who'll be, I think, the X factor of this Origin series. The way he's playing is the best player in the game.
All right, Paul, let's turn to round 12 this week. Starts Thursday night. The Bulldogs playing the Dolphins. I would have thought the Bulldogs should be pretty strong in that match.
Well, would you, Professor? Because I wouldn't. You're missing 10 players, 10. And Phil Gould took to Twitter to point that out between Origin and injuries. Forgive me for this, but I think the Dolphins will win at big odds. I just think that Dogs team is a lot of unknowns. The Dolphins only missing 1 player out to Origin. Hammer is quite a loss, but they have the rest of their team to play. I've really got to say, with the team of the Dogs, I just think they're missing too many players across the game. But we'll see. I mean, they probably will win, but I'm tipping the Dolphins. Forgive me, Professor.
Okay. Friday night game, the Eels, been pretty disappointing this year. Can Schooners Sea Eagles have 2 wins in a row, Paul?
Yeah, I think they will actually, but because the Eels are reliant so heavily on Mitchell Moses. So with him out, I think that Dean Hawkins coming in, that's a former Rabbitoh, he's a good player, but I think Manly should get it done there at Parramatta. They're just missing too much talent with Moses and Lomax out. They're probably 2 best players out. Whereas, of course, Manly missing Cherry Evans and Jake Trebojevic out. But you've got Tom at the back. You've got Luke Brooks there. And I think Jake Arthur will step up and show what he can do against his former club. And used to be his dad there, coaching the Eels.
Another question without notice for you, Paul. You better be careful about this one too. Now, if 3 games on a Saturday is Super Saturday, what's 2 games called?
That's a very good question. Glass is half full, I guess.
Slightly less than Super Saturday.
That's it. So semi-Saturday.
All right. Well, the first game on Saturday, Panthers playing the Knights.
Now, Satisfactory Saturday, we'll call it. Yeah.
The way the Knights are going, even without the Panthers that are in the rep squads, I would have thought the Panthers will get home.
Well, they've still got amazing lineup there. They've still got enough to get it done, I think. I mean, yeah, if the Knights are in a bit better form, you might tip them. But, I mean, when you're looking at Ponga's out and Sophie's, no, I just can't see it happening. I think the Panthers at home will be too strong. And they'll need that win if they want to stay in touch with the 8 as well.
Now, old-time rivals, the Roosters playing the Sharks on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, the Sharks have avoided any players to the Origin, which is enormous. For one of the form teams of the comp, they've actually survived having anyone picked. So I think that the Sharks will be too strong. There's a lot of outs for the Roosters, 5 players picked for Origin. So that'll be too much for them to overcome. Sharks are on their way to the grand final, as I've said.
And the final game on Sunday, the Warriors playing at home in New Zealand, playing the very impressive Raiders.
Yes, and I'd have to pick them at home. There'll be a full house there, I've heard. And I think that place will be rocking. No outs to Origin, of course. So I think that they should get it done. Raiders are playing well, but I really like the Warriors. Close to a guarantee, but no bell this week. Professor, I don't give guarantees in Origin period. Just too difficult with players in and out everywhere.
Oh, well, let's save my third question for the night, Paul. I was going to say we haven't heard the bell yet.
No, you won't hear it either. Origin time is for mug punters, they'd say, because very hard to tip with all these ins and outs.
So the super that I put on Canterbury, maybe that wasn't a good thinking.
No, I wouldn't think so. I think that, as I predicted, a big chance of an upset there, but we will see.
Well, and as we say, people should always gamble responsibly.
That's right, yeah, and keep your super for what it's intended for. None left if you listen to me this year. So.
Well, Paul, we can only hope that things shall improve. Thanks very much, and we'll talk again next week.
All good. Thanks, Professor. Thank you.